Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of Andrewsfootball.com, and with the 26th pick in the NFL draft, who will the Indianapolis Colts take? Well, let's see here. If you're not familiar with the Indianapolis Colts, they had a fantastic season last year. They started off 1-4, then won 9 out of their next 10 games to go ahead and make the playoffs, which had to clinch the last week of the season. Then they go to Houston to play division winner, Houston Texans, and beat the Houston Texans in the playoffs before losing to my Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. But this was a phenomenal year, especially when you consider where they started. At 1-4, this looked like a disaster under first-year coach Frank Reich. And if you don't know the story, the job was offered to New England Patriots Josh McDaniels, and then he turned around, didn't want to take it, and then they settled for Frank Reich, who realistically should have got a lot more consideration for Coach of the Year. Actually, should have won Coach of the Year. Maybe not, but anyway, I'm kind of getting off the subject here. Anyway, needless to say, Frank Reich did a fantastic job. And not only that, after missing all of 2017, Andrew Luck had a phenomenal year. He came back okay. 4,593 yards, 39 touchdowns, was actually in consideration for MVP candidate. Now, I was saying since late November, it was going to be Patrick Mahomes, and it deserved to be Patrick Mahomes. But if Patrick Mahomes didn't have a 5,050, type season, Andrew Luck, there's been quarterbacks who won MVP with worse statistics than Andrew Luck. So, and considering he missed all of 2017, the best is yet to come for Andrew Luck. I've said this multiple times. If Andrew Luck does not win multiple MVPs, the Colts organization failed him, because all the talent is there, all the intelligence, all the athletic ability. And here's another thing about the Indianapolis Colts. What a draft they had last year. 2 first-team All-Pros, Quentin Smith and Darius Leonard, and then Braden Smith, the right tackle, is a really good player. So what a great draft you got. And here's the thing with this year, oh man, that not only do they have the 26th pick in the draft, they had the 2nd pick in the second round, the 27th pick in the second round, a 3rd-round pick, 2 fours. There's plenty of draft capital here. So you don't really know what the Colts are going to do. They could trade up. They could trade down. They could actually trade a pick for a higher pick in the 2020 draft. And that's definitely a possibility. So you have a ton of draft picks along with a superstar quarterback, 2 fantastic rookies. Oh, yeah, you signed one of my favorite all-time Chiefs, you dirty bastards, and Justin Houston, one of my all-time favorite players, and he's going to play defensive end, not outside linebacker, but that's okay. So, this year, just if you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, you got to be licking your chops, because on paper, this is a better team than last year's team. And last year's team beat the division winner Houston Texans. You didn't start off that 1-4 start. You may have had the 1 seed. So, Colts fans, wow. They really got to be licking their chops and going into the 2019 season. So, with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL draft, who would I have the Colts taking? Well, I look at the Colts, and I really see them going in a variety of different ways. And I've mocked multiple players there. But ultimately, I see the Colts taking best player available. And for me, because I don't think he should be there, but that's Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle out of Clemson. And now I know the big story is that he took a substance unknowingly, missed the 2 playoff games. But here's a guy who's 340, who does not move anywhere close to being 340. But before I go into a little more detail on that, there's a player that I had mocked to the Colts, because Dexter Lawrence should not be there at 26, but Jonathan Abram, the strong safety out of Mississippi State is a guy who I actually really love for the Colts. I think he would be a plug-and-play guy. Now, I think Dexter Lawrence would be a day-one starter. Or even if he's not a day-one starter, he can contribute in a variety of different ways due to his scheme versatility fit. Because really, I look at a guy who's 340 and has that power as a 3-4 guy, but not necessarily. But Abram is a guy who's a plug-and-play guy at strong safety. He's more of a need. However, I think Lawrence is a better player, a better athlete, and I think he'd be more of a best player available type of player. But I really like Abram here. So if the Colts decide, hey, we're going to go with the need versus the athlete, because Dexter Lawrence really should not be available this late in the draft. The reason why I got a mock there is that I'm not seeing a scheme fit. Plus, I think teams may be turned off by missing those games due to that substance issue. I don't know how far that's going to drop him, but I got him stopping here at 26, so the Colts are getting a steal. Now, like I said, I think that, a lot of teams may see him as a 3-4. I think the Colts, what they did, if you don't know, is that they switched from a 3-4 defense, which was designed to stop the run, which makes sense because you got Jacksonville, that's a running team. Tennessee, that's a running team. Houston Texans, they're a running team. So build a big physical defense designed to stop the run. Well, one of the things that they changed last year was they ditched that 3-4, changed personnel, and went for a lighter, smaller, faster defense because you got Andrew Luck. Why are you trying to win games 17-14? All right, that makes no sense whatsoever. So if you have a superstar quarterback like Andrew Luck, you want him to be on the field as often as possible. You don't want to play slugfests. You want shootouts because ultimately you got the number one gunslinger. And that's why you want a faster, quicker defense. So what? You give up a big play. It doesn't matter because you got Andrew Luck who's going to get more big plays than your opponents. And look at this division. You got Nick Foles. Yes, he won a Super Bowl. He was Super Bowl MVP. Yes, he's got $88 million. He's been a backup more than he's been a starter. Marcus Mariota, awesome Heisman Trophy. I love the potential. But the production is that he's a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. Then you got Deshaun Watson, the guy who I did a video on the Houston Texans not too long ago. This guy is a budding superstar, but is he as good as Andrew Luck? Absolutely not. So you have the best quarterback in the division. Have a defense that matches your strength, and that's having a superstar quarterback. So get a defense that specializes in speed, that you can get your turnovers, that can get you stacks, because ultimately, even though the Colts do have a pretty good defense, you're not trying to be the 85 Bears. You don't need to be, but get a defense that can get the ball back into your number one player, and that's Andrew Luck's hands. So I love what they did on defense. So drafting a guy like Lawrence, I could be like, wait a minute, do I need a guy who's 340? Because he doesn't move like he's 340. Another thing to think about with Dexter Lawrence is that Dontari Poe of the Kansas City Chiefs, Chris Ballard was in Kansas City when actually it was before Dontari Poe was drafted, but he was there to watch his development because for the first couple of years that he was in Kansas City under Andy Reid, this guy was awesome. But he unfortunately had some back problems, didn't really come back the way he was because Dontari Poe had a really unique talent that he played the zero technique in a 3-4 defense, but when they went to the nickel, they switched him out to tackle. See, that's a scheme type of versatility you can get with a guy like Dexter Lawrence because could he play on the nose? Could he play defensive tackle? This guy is probably one of the few players. Now, is he going to play defensive end? Probably not, but could you move him out to defensive end every once in a while? Could you run stunts with him? Absolutely, you can do these things on occasion. Even though he's 340, he moves like a guy who's much, much smaller. And that's why I think the Colts are going to take him over a guy who I think would fit their defense a lot better than a guy like Abram, a guy that I'm very high on. But take the guy with more athletic potential. Take a guy who can do more things on your defensive front. Take the guy who ultimately is a better player. Not taking anything away from Jonathan Abram, a guy that I love. But I think Dexter Lawrence here at 26, an absolute steal. I don't see a way the Colts do not pull the trigger on this. So Hey, listen, if you're a subscriber to Andrews Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. But if you're new to Andrews Football, you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, you're a fan of the NFL draft, you're a fan of mock drafts, or a fan of awesome hats, I got this thing here for you. Check out this button here. And look down here, see this little button, this little red subscribe button. And bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Wait till tomorrow where I break down the 27th pick. Yes, it's the Raiders again, but I'm breaking it down for you. I'll see you tomorrow.